What's going on, everybody? James here, redemptionagency.com, urban-picker.com, 24 years selling full-time on eBay. And today is a topic video. So let's see what I can do here. What I want to talk about is I see so many people within fourth quarter here complaining that their sales are slumping, their sales are, not what they should be, et cetera, et cetera. And so that got me thinking, what type of seller are you? Are you a part-time seller? Are you looking to scale and make this full-time? Are you full-time doing this? And I wanted to go into, and I'm going to use AI here to help break it all down so I don't have to, and then I can give you examples of what I feel these bullet points are. And that is scaling your business. So if you're complaining that sales are down, or your sales are not where they should be, are you trying to scale your business? And so I typed in examples of a scalable mindset in business starting with one person. So you're one person, you work at home, you sell on eBay. First thing that pops up is, and a lot of this you're going to hear that I've talked about over past videos, so it's probably most of it's probably going to be nothing new. I'm just putting it all into one form video for you. The first one that popped up was build systems before you need them. Non-scalable mindset is I'll just remember how I do things. A scalable mindset is document repeatable processes so you can hand them off later. Example, a one-person eBay seller creates SOPs. That's standard operational procedures for listing workflow, shipping workflow. This is saying SKU naming structure and customer service templates. Even while solo, they behave as if they'll eventually hire somebody. So listing workflows, what can that include? What can that entail? As I've talked about before, anytime you can take a second off of your processes, in the long run, it's going to pay off, because, especially if you're doing volume. Whether that's doing things in all at once, breaking down into different processes. Say you process all your listings at once, you take all your pictures at once, you separate them into categories, all your men's t-shirts, all your women's pants, et cetera, and then you do those all together. That is a process that's repeatable, and you will get faster and faster with it. By not only just the memory of doing the thing over and over again, but you'll also be able to, if you keep a searchable mind, an open mind about what you're doing, you'll be able to trim seconds off of it. Well, if I, do this, I can trim a second off of this. And if I do this, I can trim another second off of this. And that could be anything from, like I said, the way you process to your picture station, the way it's set up, to the way your office is set up. As I talked about before, my desk is basically in the middle of the room, so I'm only a step away from any and everything I do. I don't have to go back and forth. That's time wasted. So if you can find ways to trim that time wasted, then that's a process to help your workflow become better. And I think a lot of people blow this type of stuff off. They don't understand, and maybe they just don't. Maybe they just don't have the mindset to always try to increase your efficiency when you're doing something, because that's going to allow you to scale it and to be faster at it, and what have you. Shipping workflow, the same thing. Everything within reach at your station. Again, doing the same thing over and over again, repeatable. Maybe it's having a thermal printer instead of another printer where you're taping, and you can just slap the label on. All those type of little details will save time. Customer service templates. eBay is trying to implement that a little bit in their message system now, but I don't think it's working very well. But I used to use a thing called Keynotes, and all it was you could make a paragraph if you want to. If you get a same question over and over again from customers, you can create a key where all you have to do is hit one keystroke and it puts that copy and paste basically paragraph that you wrote into each email. That again is customer service template. That is you don't have to sit there and type it all out every time. That trims seconds off. So if you keep in mind just the finding ways to trim time off of your processes, that is going to that's a scalable. That is scalable. That is the definition of scaling. So, and that's just the bare minimum. Obviously, there's a lot more to it when it comes to getting the product. Do you buy in bulk as opposed to going out every day to find the product? You can go out one day, buy bulk, and you don't have to go out for another week or 2 weeks or whatever the case may be, right? That's a way to trim seconds off of a, you know what I'm trying to say, a process. Delegate what doesn't require expertise. At first you do everything, but you don't plan to forever. Examples: hire a VA to handle messages, inventory uploads, bookkeeping, or scheduling once task becomes repeatable. This lets the founder stay focused on high-value decisions, not low-value tasks. Again, VA, do you hire somebody just to ship the items for you? I think a lot of you guys know the examples of those. I'm using something like List Easier when it comes to listing the product. You could scale, and it's like even with AI is taking a lot off all these tables. Like I said, they're trying to incorporate it in the messages on eBay. You have things like List Easier that allows you to list things quicker and cut the time down to 10% or less of what it used to take you. So build a business around repeatable units. Instead of random actions, design work that scales through volume. Example, a reseller chooses categories with a repeatable listings: media items, shoes, trading cards, list of one-off antiques requiring custom searches, instead of one-off antiques requiring custom searches. Same effort, scalable volume. Again, I started out with media, so I have several things that I can repeat consistently: CDs, cassettes, DVDs, video games, Blu-rays, and then you got hats and t-shirts. And when I look to find something new, I am looking for that next item that I could get in bulk and build a process around it so that you can scale it. Again, with each one, right off the bat, you have to take the time to create the first process. When you start something new, it's always going to take the longest time right out of the gate. So you can start building a process around it, and then over time you start scaling that back, taking time off of it to make it quicker, more efficient, etc. Like when I started hats, I had to come up with a system of how I'm taking the hats and what am I doing, and do I get a head to put the hat on? Do I not? So all those little things right there, that's about building the process to do it. So media items, shoes, trading cards, and basically niches, right? As opposed to an everything seller. Automate instead of manually managing. Look for tasks tech can replace before hiring a person. And that, like I was talking about AI, that's a whole lot easier in 2025 going forward than it was prior to 2025. Because there's a lot of stuff in the works and a lot of stuff being worked on and a lot of stuff out there right now. Examples: auto pricing tools, bulk relisting programs. That's one I would like to have right now. Inventory scanning and barcode, schedule content posts, email auto responder flows. A scalable thinker builds automation first, hires later. Yeah, and that could fall into also to, instead of, like I said, gave the printer example, instead of using a printer and you're taping the label on, using already a self-stick label. Auto pricing tools. Now you can't do that on eBay, but you can use programs that pull it off of eBay, change it, and put it back on now. Bulk relisting programs. That's the one I would like to personally build right there. Something that will, an hour before your item's going to end and do the 30-day repeat, that it ends it and sells similar, so that it's a new listing as opposed to, and you could set it for every 3 months or every 6 months or however you want to do it. I would never do it at 1 month, but every 3, 4, 5, or 6 months. Inventory scanning and barcoding. If you're doing media and you're not using AI like List Easier, and you're doing, which is now the old way of doing it, scanning barcodes, then a barcode scanner is better than typing it in. So there's another process that prior that I was using, where at the very first I was typing in the barcode, where after you get the barcode scanner, it's a whole lot quicker. That's an example of scaling and trimming seconds off of a process. Schedule content posts. That can be like if you're a YouTuber, or if you want to list, you're in the mindset, you want to schedule listings every day. I'm kind of against that. I say if you got the listing made, get it listed. That you might have a buyer that's going to buy it tonight who may not be looking for it tomorrow. So I'm always, if you got it, list it. So, and the email autoresponder flows. Let's see, number 5 says track data that will matter later, even if the business is small. Cost of goods per SKU, sell-through rate by category, customer acquisition cost, average order value, shipping costs per carrier. Someone planning to scale knows data powers decisions. And it's the age-old phrase, know your numbers. If you're not paying attention, I pay attention every day, as you've seen in my videos lately. Every day I look at my numbers to make sure there's nothing that's off. Because the last thing you want to do is all of a sudden figure out that you failed or you're failing, but it's too late to pivot. It's too late to right the ship, and you're just done. Whereas if you're paying attention to your numbers consistently, you don't have to do them every day. Every week is fine. And always every month, no matter what. That gives you time. If there is something that's not working or not looking right, or it's causing you to go backwards, you have time to change that, so you do not fail. This says build brands, not just transactions. A scalable business creates identity beyond the founder. Example, instead of naming the business John CDs, create a brand that works with multiple employees, locations, or product lines. Example, Retro Sound Supply Company. Brands scale, personal identities don't. Now, I would kind of disagree with this one with personal identities, because especially if you're incorporating something like YouTube, it could be your personal identity that people trust. Your name can be a brand. Like Jake Paul and them, their name is their brand. And then I think even like Mr. Beast, like would Mr. Beast videos be successful without him? I don't think as much, so I believe that an identity can be a brand, but if you're not out there creating a brand for your name, creating an identity for yourself, then nobody's going to know. So I kind of run both. I do run the name identity on YouTube, and then within the business, because not everybody who shops in your store is going to know you're on YouTube. There for me is Redoption Agency, and rescuing memories. So again, and that brings in a lot of repeatable buyers. And I've had, over the years, plenty of emails and from customers saying how they will buy from me before anybody else, and that's creating trust within your brand. So, design your work for outsourcing. If a task requires your taste, knowledge, or presence, it can't scale. Take product photos on a standard backdrop with a template instead of a custom creative shoot. That means anyone can replicate it. Another example of this is kind of the way I set things up. I buy by bulk, and I have my foundation items. You can get anywhere, anybody can buy them because you just go in and buy them all. You don't have to just look for the best dollar ones, right? You can go in to a Goodwill and buy all the hats. You could go in, if you got to hook up for CDs, you just buy them all in bulk. The systems I have set up, even as a reseller, my boys can duplicate this once I'm gone. It takes no brain power to do what I'm doing anymore. Everything's bought by bulk. Everything's listed by bulk now. And you don't really have to know anything to resell except paying attention to your numbers and the whole backside of it, making sure you're making money as opposed to not losing money. So, and my boys are excellent with numbers, so I have no worry about that with them. So they know what they're doing on that end. But when it comes to finding the product, listing the product, shipping the product, all my processes can be done by anybody. So, and then the little things like, white backdrops for the pictures, and everything's done a certain way so that it's just repeatable. And that too helps take time off the processes to make things quicker, to make things more efficient when it's done the same way every single time. That just keeps going on, doesn't it? Number 8 says invest in assets that compound. A scalable founder prefers activities that grow value over time. Digital products, content libraries, SEO optimized videos, paid ads and funnels, inventory that can be restocked consistently. Non-scalable founders trade time for money. Examples here, obviously the one that says inventory that can be restocked consistently. You can go out any day of the week here and buy the product that I sell. So that is one thing here. Another one I can kind of attribute to this would be the way I bought in bulk over the past 25 years. And if it doesn't have value at the time, I put it in storage and wait for it to grow value over time. A lot of the CDs that used to be penny CDs on Amazon, I can get $7, $8, $10 out of today. The Pokemon stuff, when I was buying it in mid 2000s, wasn't worth anything. So I put it in storage, and you know how Pokemon blew up. So that could be another example of something at least I did that kind of falls into that category. Number 9 says solve problems that large markets have. A scalable business solves repeatable problems, not personal ones. Example, instead of offering custom consulting, package knowledge into courses, templates, software, standardized services. Same solution, thousands of customers. The only way that kind of falls into are the people who sell courses on YouTube. And then stuff like software with AI to automate things a lot quicker. Those are 2 examples I can think of there. And of course, I'm not a fan of a lot of people who do the courses, but you've heard me tell you why on those, because in my eyes, they're not experts. They just repeat what other people are saying and trip over their own words a lot. So they're not professional enough to sell their courses, if you will. Number 10, build with the exit in mind, even if never selling. A scalable founder organized the business so someone else could run it. Now, again, examples: clean books, SOPs, clear ownership of trademark assets, separate personal and business accounts. So obviously you should always have a business account and your own personal account. You should always have the business as that. So if something does happen and you have to file bankruptcy, it's affecting your business, not your personal. And then standard of procedures, what I've been talking about, the way I buy by bulk. You don't have to be an expert to buy my core foundation items to run the business. So example there. Clean books. That's all I got for that one. And that is it. That is number 10. So, well, hopefully some of that information there helped you out. If you're not thinking that way, but yet you want to do this full time, or you're doing it full time and you're kind of failing, hopefully something within there kind of triggered in your head and go, okay, maybe I need to do this, this, and this, and what have you. So anyway, all right, that's my video for today. So thanks everybody, and I will see you all in the next video.